My name is Kayla Matthew, and today I'm going to share all of my quilts from 2025. I'm hoping that this is a part one. We'll do a part two. That's all the garments I made, and but that would just be too long of a video because I have 10 quilts to talk about and 15, I believe I made 15 garments for 2025, which it's kind of incredible to look back at the year and see all that you've done. And also, if all that you have done is one quilt or set up your sewing machine, you're still doing great. I'm going to go in order from when they were completed. I'm looking at my laptop for my notes. But I'm going to go through when they were completed and not when I started them. I'll talk about like the inspiration behind them or the purpose of each quilt, and I'll talk about how it is quilted. So when people think about quilts, they typically think about quilting, but it's actually piecing. So that's like the patchwork part. So the patchwork part is piecing, and then when you put the layers together, that's actually the quilting. And there's 3 different ways to do quilting. There is sewing on your domestic machine, so that's just called like machine quilting. There's also where you send it to a long arm and you can do these really cool patterns, but you have to have a fancy machine, and I do not. I pay someone to do that. And you can also do hand quilting, and you'll see a few, well, at least one of each of those this year. So I tried some new things this year. So I guess, I can't remember exactly when I took the Piecing 101 class, but I remember I was really pregnant with my daughter, and she was born 2 springs ago. So I do believe we're coming up on my 2-year quilting anniversary. So if you're just starting out, this is what you can do in 2 years, or you can probably do it sooner. I was having a baby and then I was postpartum. So here's the stack of quilts I have on me. There is another upstairs. My daughter is asleep on top of it. She likes to sleep on top of this one. I don't know why. So here are 5 of them. 1 more in my house. 2 were gifted and 2 are my mom's. One of our friends was having a baby shower and I wanted to make them a quilt, but nothing like even as big as a regular baby quilt. Like I just want to make them something small, and I saw on a blog a car seat quilt. It was for a baby shower, and they had said that they were going to name their kid Leona or Leon, or Leona. And they're Hispanic, and they ended up not, and I felt kind of like, oh well, I hope they still like the quilt, because I made it have lions on it. Like the whole quilt was made around the focus fabric, which was lions. So I hope that they still liked it. I backed it with flannel, and it has little ties so it can tie on the car seat, and it's machine quilted along the seams. So it's like a 1/4 inch away from the seam. So, and then it's backed with a hand-me-down flannel. So this one was pretty quick. I think I finished it like start to finish in like 4 days. And then took it to the baby shower, and I think they loved it. So the first one I have here to show you. So here's the only car seat quilt I have on me. This one I made for my baby. When they're in the like the car seats that you carry, or they ride in the stroller all the time, that's what this is like designed for. It has little ties on the side, so you tie it to secure it onto the car seat, like on top of them. So it should be safe, but I am not telling you it will be. Please do not come after me. Okay, so here's hers. And when you do little squares like this, it's called a trip around the world. But the way I started, like the inspo for this one, was that I had this flannel that I really liked from Joann's, and I had originally bought it to do a whole cloth quilt, and so I still like wanted to use it. So once I made that for Leona, that was not Leona, I was like, hey, my baby needs one of these, and we loved it. So I made it in January, and we used it until I think like, we used it every day for like 3 months until it was time for her to go to a big car seat. And so now it just hangs in the sewing room because I just love the design. Like I love the colors. It has, you can see the quilting now, so it's diagonal across every block. It's called cross hatching, I believe. And then these ties are into the binding. Cool. Okay, the next quilt, I'm going to talk about it, but it's the one my daughter is laying on top of right now. So I finished it in March, and I had wanted. So I took PC one-on-one when I was heavily pregnant with her, very pregnant. And I did some like small like whole cloth quilts, but I wanted to, for her 1-year birthday, because they're not supposed to sleep with a blanket until they're 1, right? So I wanted her, for her 1-year birthday, to get a quilt that like went with their nursery. And I have these blue calico floral curtains that my mom helped me make. I wanted that to be the backing. So actually, while I was still pregnant, I was 38 weeks pregnant, I bought a fat quarter bundle from Quilt Magic Land on Etsy. I'll link their shop. And I was using that to make the pattern by Sharon, Holland, called Hugs and Kisses. And then I think like a couple of days before I gave birth, my dad and I actually went to Joann's, and he helped me, he still brags about this, that he helped pick out fabric. So he helped pick out the solids that go with this little bundle, or to coordinate with this bundle. But when I was done with it, so I had, it's like 3x3 blocks, so 9 blocks. It just wasn't singing to me. And I was like, what can I do? Because I love each block, but like, it's just not, the vibe is not right. So I added sashing for the first time in cornerstones. And it just, it made it amazing. So the panto, so I took this one to my long armor, and she did the pantograph called Melissa's Elemental. During this time, I finished these 2 quilts, like I did the binding on them the same day. So during this time, my oldest was really into Lion King. Like, we watched it every day. Now we watch Frozen and sing Let It Go every day. I went and I bought this fabric from Joann. So we have Simba and Nala and some bugs and some leaves. And when I bought it, I was looking for a pattern to use. And all of them like cut up this focus fabric, or the focus fabric was like really small. And I wanted the focus fabric, in my head, I was dreaming up, I want this focus fabric to be really like central to the quilt. And then I want like batiks and polka dots and stuff like chaining. Kind of like an Irish chain, but different, so like in the blank spot. So I came up with my own pattern for this. And I do plan on turning this, will be my 2nd quilt pattern this year. I'm gonna do the car seat quilt first. But here is this one. Let me see if I can back it up. So this is called an economy block. So it's a square and a square and a square. Oh, so this is the square. And then this is a square. And that's how this one blocks out. But anyway, this is it's called Fanfare I, the panto. And I did machine stitch, top stitch binding as well. Show you. So you can see the stitching up there. You just edge stitch it down. And for baby quilts, well, up until this point, all I had done was my binding that way, but still for baby quilts, where something's gonna be washed a lot, I do prefer to do machine binding. And sorry, I have to fold this up because that's the type of person I am. Oh, and then for the backing, I was trying really hard to find the backing and like, what should I do with this? And then I went back and just got Lion King to do the whole back. So I was like, that's what she wants. She wants Lion King, so let's give her a Lion King. Now we are to, that was March, and then I gifted those to the girls March or April, and then I started working on a table runner for my mom. And you think, oh, how long could a table runner take? It took about 2 months because the blocks were more intricate than I typically do. I usually like a really simple patchwork quilt, and well, I let her choose what she would like, and I told her, oh, it's not that hard. It was hard to get like the tulips to line up, but anyway, she loves tulips, and so I wanted to make her something she would love, and she told me it's her favorite thing she's ever gotten. And then my daughter got her a mug from the school store for Christmas, and now she's like, this is my favorite thing. I'm like, okay, Mom. Anyway, so what I did for this one is I sent her inspo on Pinterest and was like, take a look at these. She picked one, and then I made it. It was originally like a Christmas table runner, and it was called like poinsettia, I think. And she was like, are you sure this will look good in spring colors? I was like, yes, it won't look Christmassy unless we do it in green and red and is beautiful, and I have it pinned on my Pinterest. I started a professional account on Pinterest and I have it pinned on there, and it's like, it's my top pin on there. It's been pinned a couple times and it has like tons, like lots and lots of views. So for the panto on this, I think it's called Snapdragon Edge to Edge. And for the binding, I did a bias binding so that you could see the stripes were on the diagonal. But then I top stitched it, machine stitching. So that was my mom's table runner. That was for Mother's Day. I made my mother-in-law she's from Grenada, and the colors of that country are red, yellow, and green. And so I just made her like a little pot holder star with those colors, and I have future Grenada projects planned. And then in July, I like this story. So my mom is the one who taught me how to sew, but she primarily sews garments or like small things. She was pregnant with me, which is funny because I started quilting when I was pregnant with my second kid, and I'm her second kid. When she was pregnant with me, she decided to piece a quilt. Well, she mentioned this, you know, a couple years ago when I started quilting, like, oh, I have this unfinished quilt. But for those of you who do not quilt, so first you make the quilt top, and then you're like, ta-da, I did it. But no, 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 no. There's still, you have to quilt the top, the batting, and the backing together, and then you have to add a binding. Well, if you finish a quilt top and you don't want to quilt it on your machine, or you don't know about that, or you don't know long armor, I know several people who have had quilt tops that just sit there. So if you ever need help, if you're watching this and you want advice on, I have a quilt top, now what? Let me know, especially if you're in the Central Maryland area, I got you. So for my mom, I was like, Mom, we gotta finish this. So I took her to my quilt shop here when she came to visit. We picked out a backing, we picked out a binding, and then I previously said she loved tulips, right? So we found a panto that was tulip twirl. And my long armor didn't have it, but she has since like let me buy them, and then she'll put them on the quilt instead of just using her, like, she has like 50 of them, but I have very specific taste, very specific style I would like. So anyway, so my mom got tulip twirl on there, and I again just did machine binding on that, and it's top stitched down. Started in maybe 1993 and finished in 2025. But this next one was started in April, and I've been making all these things for my mom, for my girls, and I'm like, you know what? I had a hard year, like mentally, mental health wise. I had a very hard year, and I was like, I have an idea to start making quilt patterns, but I have this quilt pattern in mind, but I don't know what would be great for the sample. It's gonna be pictured everywhere. Well, I realized, well, you should make it for yourself. So I decided as like a love note to myself for this sample that it should be red and pink, like Valentine's Day colors, and it's solids, and here it is. And so I bought this fabric in April, and I got it finished in September. Oh, and it's a big one. So when I started making this, I made the throw, the lap, I call it a lap. Then I ordered more fabric to make a twin so me and both my girls can fit under it. And they're growing, I think, obviously. They're small now. So here it is. I'll throw up a video of me rolling it out. But I just wanted to show like the closer up details. This is the backing. It's a Liberty wide back, which was money, money, money. But it's for me. So like, I know the recipient will love it. And the panto I did on this is called Knit One Purl Two. That's a weird name, but that's what it's called. So I just want to show like the detail on that. And I did it in pink. And what I love about this quilt, I love when there are like blank spots, like the pink reading, like it's a blank spot for your eye. There's a restful spot for your eye. That's what I love about this quilt. And then I've been talking about binding a lot and saying the same thing every time, but just about. So this one, I machine stitched it to the top, and I blind stitched it on the back, and I was very proud of myself. And you cannot see the stitches, so they're like right along here to tack it down, but you can't really see it. Well, this got me addicted, and I think the other remaining two I have here, I stitched by hand. It's just a really clean finish. There's nothing wrong with machine stitching. One of the reasons I did it on this one, which was my first one, like got me started, is it gets cumbersome to have your whole quilt on this table and then like trying to feed it through the machine, which is another reason that I don't like machine quilting, and I like to send my quilts off to my girl Letitia. So in November, I made a whole cloth car seat quilt. For this friend, I asked, well, for one, do you want a quilt? Do you want, I can't remember what else I offered her. Oh, I think I make these like wipe and diaper like carriers. I was like, do you want that? Would you like a small quilt? Which is what the car seat quilts are perfect for, because it's not like too big of a project. You can finish in a week for sure. And so I wanted to do a whole cloth car seat quilt eventually. And so that's what she picked, and I was excited. So, but she was like, here's my registry, like here's the vibe I'm going for. And she had bows on there. She's like, she also told me separately, like maybe bows. And so I found this bow fabric that's just darling. I bought a little extra because I felt like it would be good for other stuff. So here are the bows. So what I did was this on the front and like a pink, like a dark pink on the back, and then an even darker pink on the binding. I did cross hatch machine quilting, I think every 2 inches maybe. And then I did machine binding, like top stitched or edge stitched and everything. The only like difference I did on hers is I wanted to test out if you could do, instead of having the ties and the binding like a trip around the world in the 4-patch, I wanted to see for the car seat quilt what it would be like if you did a buttonhole for the like straps. You can take out those straps and then your babies can play with it with their dolls or whatever toys they have. So, and that worked really well. I'm actually doing a 4th car seat quilt soon, and I think I'm gonna do that one the same way. And then I'll have 4 samples. Pretty excited about that. So now we're to December, which was a crazy busy month for me, and I would not recommend how I handled December. Basically, in addition to these 2 things I'm about to show you, I also did pajama pants for everyone, and I also did Christmas dresses. That's a lot of things for 1 month. I took off work, but yeah, that's too much. I cannot do it all. I'm gonna do this one first, even though I finished this on Christmas Eve. I pieced the top, and then it just sat there because I had planned on machine quilting it, and then I just never felt like it. So I ended up taking it to my long armor, and she added the stars, which are just darling. But the way this one came about is, so there's kind of, in my opinion, 2 like main ways to start a quilt. One is whether your focus fabric is the backing or whether your focus fabric is going to be on the front, but like finding a fabric you really like, drawing from the colors within that fabric. Or like I did in my Raily Patchy, the pink and red one, that's what I named the pattern. So that turned into a pattern, and that's what I named it. That pattern came out in November, I believe, and it's doing very well. For a first pattern, it's doing very well. I'm not rich, but I'm doing okay. Or you can do it like, okay, how do I want this quilt to make me feel? And for that one, I wanted it to make me feel like you're amazing, you got this, and for me, that was red and pink. So those are kind of the 2 main ways. I think you should go off buying fabric. We can talk about that more later. But anyway, so for this one, I had this Bluey flannel from Joann's. And my oldest has a Bluey quilt, and she said that her sister needed a Bluey quilt. So what I did, and this is so simple and so quick, and I honestly should just make more of these. But what I did is I went through and I went through the scraps. So honestly, it's a lot of scraps of my baby's 1-year-old quilt, which I haven't shown you yet. But I will go grab it when she wakes up. But it's a lot of scraps from that. Some scraps that my grandmother let me like go through her scrap bin. It's a lot of just, that's a lot of scraps, but it looks great. And this one I'll back up, let you see. Oop, this way. So as you can see, all these colors go with Bluey and Bingo. And the panto I did for this was a bunch of little stars on there. I hope you can see that. One more. So this was, I gave this as a Christmas present. I'm trying to tell you guys the timeline on this because I want you to realize, like, yes, this was pieced in September and it was not done till December. Like, yes, I bought fat quarters for my daughter's 1-year quilt like a year before it was finished. Like, things take time. So here's my tree skirts. And this quilt is just a bunch of like fat quarters and small yardage I collected literally over 3 years before I even started quilting. I was like, I want to make a tree skirt. That was like my goal. And so before I even learned to quilt, I was at a quilt shop with my grandmother, my mama, and she actually bought me some of these. And then over the years, I just like collected what I thought my husband would like. His style's a little bit more whimsical, fun, I don't know, than mine. So like I love this one, and he would love more like, I don't know, this one, the Santas, this one. But it's for both of us. So this was like my Christmas present for both of us this year. The way I did this one, this also didn't have a pattern, is I just made a square quilt, like a little bit bigger than my old tree skirt. And once it was quilted, so I stitched in the ditch every 8 inches. I don't know if you can see that there, but every 8 inches I stitched in the ditch, which just means like along the seam. Then I traced my old tree skirt with a like water soluble marker, and so it's a circle, right? Then I stay stitched, so I stitched with a long stitch length around that line, and then I cut like a 1/4 inch around it, and then I did the binding. I think this, so at first I was gonna do a long arm, but then it just was like too busy. I felt like the panta was gonna get lost in all this, right? So I decided, okay, I will do a combination of machine stitching just to get it done, and then over the years I will go back and add hand quilting. So you can see hand quilting right here. I don't know if you can see it. Well, it's harder than I thought it would be. But anyway, this is our tree skirt. Oh, I added little buttons. And then of course this binding has to be cut on the bias, which means an angle, a 45-degree angle. Because that part of the fabric has more give, straight up and down doesn't have much give. On the 45 degrees has more give, and when you go around a circle or an edge, you need it to be bias binding. And then I felt like that doing this on the machine would be hard because the wool is really hard to machine stitch, even to like attach the binding. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never using wool batting again. Most of my quilts, besides the small ones, I just use like whatever leftover scraps I have. But for my batting, I will use, if I want a puffy look, like an old-timey puffy look, I use Cotton Select from Quilter's Dream. It's the pink one. If I want something more drapey, which just means, it's kind of hard to explain, but not so stiff, a little bit like softer, then I use a bamboo cotton blend called Kyoto, I believe, and I buy it from the Fat Quarter shop online. My local store does not carry it. My local store does carry like just straight bamboo, but the cotton bamboo blend, I think, well, for one, it's cheaper, but you're ordering it, so you only, like, you have to spend so much or whatever for free shipping. But those are the battings that I love. And we'll go get baby girls in a minute and show you that one, but I hope you enjoyed all of my quilts from this year, and I hope you join me back for part 2 garments. I have the birthday blanket. So here is the, this is the fabric that is the curtains. And then you can see that there are 2 solids. And there are, let me back up more, 2 solids, and there is sashing. And they're like 9 fat quarters, so 1 for each block. And then the panto one here. I don't know if you can, yep, now you can see it. Cool. So that's all of them. If you're still watching, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.